Morning. It's a little gloomy, but we're about to brighten up your day with some guests I've got in the studio this morning. It is no other than the Sam Jansen from Samantha Jansen Publishing. Good morning.
Good morning, Cindy. Thank you so much for having me in the studio.
It is so great to have you back. You're almost like a regular around the place now, aren't you?
It is becoming a bit like that.
It's okay. It's a pleasure.
It is a very exciting time for us, and I'm privileged to have two very special ladies sitting next to me here in the studio along with you hosting this show.
Absolutely. Now, before we get to the ladies, last time you were here, you talked about this book. It's called I Said Yes. And once again, I am so honoured to have one of the first copies in my hand.
Yes, so we break the rules just for you, Cindy. So we have a strict rule that we do not release any printed copies to anyone before the formal launch. But, you know, you're special, so you get a copy personally signed, delivered, and you've got a copy in your hands this morning.
Now, I want to read the back of the book at the moment and what it said, and it will really give our listeners a bit of an insight. 15 Australian and New Zealand women share their stories of courage and wisdom and provide practical insight on how saying yes changed their life, relationships, career and business. This is amazing, Sam. How did it come about? Who are these ladies?
So it's an amazing collaboration of 15 women, and we've got Amanda, Jane, Julie, Sarah from Perth. We've got Andrea Moody, Tina, myself, Nia, which is in the studio. Yay! We've got Renice, Jenny. We've got Judith. We've got Veronica in the studio as well, and Sue, Kerry, and Hamid, which is from Sydney. So 15 women are between Perth, Sydney, Auckland, and Melbourne.
Wow.
And they all share their stories on how saying yes changed their life. It could be a life-changing decision they had to make, and they had to say yes and just run with it, or they just had to make a decision whether it was their career or a relationship or health and well-being. So very, very exciting, very insightful stories, and some really emotional that really takes you on another path reading it.
Isn't it interesting how one word can either change your life or change, you get to that fork in the road and you go one way or the other and you make that decision. You've got two of your authors with you this morning. Who are they?
We've got Nia McMartin and Veronica White, which I'm very privileged to have joining me in the studio, and I'm sure they're going to tell you a little bit more about their chapter.
And we'll start with Nia. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Very, very well, thank you.
You're no stranger to KC Radio.
No stranger at all.
Very happy to have you here.
Awesome. It's always good fun to come in here, Cindy.
And Veronica White, good morning to you. Your first time in the studio.
Good morning. And yes, it's first time in the studio. So excited.
I'm so happy to have you, I will say. Now, Sam, who do you want to start with?
We'll go with Nia. And let's ask Nia a little bit to share very quickly what we can expect from her chapter.
Fantastic. Nia, tell us about what you've written about.
Well, actually, Cindy, I know you very, very well, and Cindy knows me very, very well, and Cindy's a lot like me, and we often get faced with what some people might call luck. But, Cindy and I both look at those opportunities as real opportunities to do stuff. So I would say that a lot of the luck that people might see in my life has actually been because I've said yes to an opportunity that's been placed in front of me that I probably would never have thought I would do. So, I've done an incredible amount of stuff in my life. I've had a really very varied career, and I've had a really varied life. But if I sat back and thought, I'm not really sure, or I don't know if I can do that. So, my first thought is, yep, I'll do that, and I'll jump in, and then I'll figure out how to do it.
Can
afterwards.
I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
Because I can relate to what you're saying. Do you say yes sometimes and then have a little meltdown quietly behind the scenes?
Absolutely, yeah.
Is that a common thing that you've probably come
across?
Well,
it's scary to say yes. It's scary to say yes when you think, oh, wow, that's really huge. Or even if it's something that's not huge but you think is difficult. If you say yes and then you think, oh, my God, how am I going to do that? Or then you immediately go into planning stage and you think, okay, so I've said yes, now how am I going to make that happen? So, yes, the little mini meltdown is probably all internal perhaps, or you might go and sit down in the corner and have a little cry for 5 minutes, but then you've got to get back on and figure out how you're going to do that. Like when I said yes to Samantha, I thought, I was talking to Samantha and she said, would you like to write a chapter in the book? I went, yes. And then sat down and thought, I write songs and they're 300 words, and all of a sudden I'm faced with, 2,500 words, and I'm thinking, okay, how am I going to do that? So, it was quite a different process for me to write 2,500 words, whereas normally I get 3 minutes and 300 words to get my message across.
So are we allowed to ask you what angle you've taken, what your story is about, or are we saving that for the book?
I cover off on quite a few opportunities where I've, said yes, where, some people might have sat back and had to think about it or had a plan or thought I might do that in 12 months or I might do that, in the next stage of my career, or I'm too young to do that or too old to do that. So there's quite a bit of, talking about all the opportunities that I've had where I've said yes and how I made those things happen.
Veronica White, welcome to KC Radio and welcome to Breakfast with Cindy.
Hello.
It's really nice to have you. Now, you're one of the authors in the book as well. What's your experience been? Are we allowed to ask you what you're writing about, or maybe just we'll give us an overview like Nia has?
Thank you for the opportunity to share, actually. My chapter is about power of embracing uncertainty. And the story it's a love story. It's how did I say yes?
You've got me.
And it was a life-changing decision for me. And until today, it's still the best decision I've ever made.
Oh.
Yeah, so.
It is a very moving chapter, and she is very vulnerable in the chapter, very raw. She gives you a great deal of insight as to how she felt when she made the decision. A little bit of emotions there on how that process went through over a few months and years, and then
That's right.
and here we are, we're hearing about it, and you're obviously leading by example and giving women especially a lot of insight onto how that experience would be like. Is that correct? Am I on the right path?
Right.
So, Veronica, let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
I mean, you've put it all out there. This is done now. You can never, ever take this back. How were you feeling when you were actually typing those words?
I typed much less initially, then I typed a lot, and then I retyped. But what I was thinking is, it's not about me only itself. It's all about other people. So when they read, if they have doubts about their love in their life, they shouldn't. So I just have to make that leap and to have that internal check, not external check.
Nia's got her hand on her chest. I've got shivers all over me. Why are we all mad for a love story? Why is that the case? It is so fantastic. Sam, talk to me a little bit more about the other authors. I mean, you've got 15 authors in this book.
Yeah, and the authors come from all different walks of life. All of them are actually businesswomen, very passionate about making an impact in their local community, but also on a larger national and a global level. Honestly, I couldn't kind of summarize sort of categories and what they do in terms of their business, but they're very much into empowering. Even if their business is not directly into empowering, they're very much about leading by example and making an impact in the community. But a great lineup of women with a lot of passion, a lot of heart, and I'm privileged to be sitting next to two of them in the studio.
It's nice that you brought some of your authors in. Normally we have a chat about the book.
Yeah.
The book before this, how did that go?
So She Leads has gone international. So we
Fantastic.
planned, obviously, to be a national campaign. It has reached about 40 readers internationally and about 500 people altogether. So, it has been massive. And with this, we've already printed 450 copies. And
Wow.
yeah, it is. It is.
Jump
like,
in there. I can see you sitting there going, yay.
Well, I liken it a little bit to as any regular listener of Sydney's knows that I'm a musician. So I liken it a little bit to when you get your album in your hands, So you write the songs, and the first time you sing them to somebody, it's like handing over your firstborn to the babysitter for the very first time.
Yeah.
You think, I'm going to sing this song, and they're going to listen to it, and you watch their face, and you think, oh, did they like
You're
it?
vulnerable.
Yeah, so for these, as you said, these words, you can't take them back
No,
once they're out there. So
they are out there.
It's really like handing over a little piece of yourself to the world, and it's scary and thrilling, and I haven't shared those words with anyone, so not even my husband, so he hasn't read it either. So it'll be really interesting to get people's reactions.
I'm looking forward to hearing about how this all goes. Sam, you've got another book that you're already working. You're like a machine. You don't stop, do you?
Oh, as I say, I'm unstoppable. So
Love it. I love it. And this is why people gravitate towards you as well, because you've got that that. What would you say, Veronica? What would you say that's, a word to describe Sam?
Unstoppable, determined.
That's what it is.
Oh, FBI, fabulous, beautiful, intelligent.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you.
Oh.
And here I was just going with energetic and enthusiastic.
But that's
and,
gonna
yeah.
that's gonna
We'll
work.
add that too. I'll add that all to my bio.
You need a very big business card.
Yeah.
So what's on the horizon, Sam? What's happening?
So our next project is Powerful Conversations, which is launching in May 2018. Very exciting time. And I'm going to put you on the spot, Nia. I'm in Sydney. Can I reveal a little bit? Or,
You may.
or is there a filter?
Yes, no, you can, absolutely.
Well, for all our listeners on KC Radio, it is really exciting to officially announce that Cindy Warren from Cindy with Breakfast with Cindy is actually one of the co-authors of Powerful Conversations.
I'm excited.
Launching next year. So that is our first anthology for next year. And you're a part of it with a few other authors across Australia. So very exciting time.
Thanks so much, Sam. Now, the reason this is about you guys today, but I asked you guys a couple of questions, kind of knowing that this was in the background, and I'm saying once you put those words down, you cannot take them back.
No.
It is, I've started writing.
Yes.
It is, I am writing about something that is extremely raw and no one knows. Not many people in my life know about what I'm writing about, and it is exactly what you were saying, Veronica. It is thrilling, it's exciting, it's terrifying, and once it's out there, you can't get it back. So I'm looking forward to working with you, Sam, very, very much so. But today we're talking about I Said Yes. You are launching when?
On Friday.
Officially
Friday night at 6:30 in Oakley. So it is all happening. And then it is a little bit of a different book launch because last time it was I guess not as big as what we are doing this year. With this one, we've got a 2-course sit-down dinner.
Oh, wow, it's a bit posh.
Yeah. We've got Nia McMartin performing live from her album, The Woman I Am. So, there's live performance there. And then we have an after party with a DJ spinning some tunes so we can have a dance on the dance floor.
That's when the
I will
real...
not be dancing.
You will be dancing.
No, don't
you
dance.
will.
That's when the real relaxing happens and everyone's,
See that.
Now, your album, The Woman I Am, is a beautiful compilation of music. What are you singing on the night?
So it's really, really funny because when I wrote the chapter for Sam, I went back and had a look at some of the lyrics in the songs that I wrote. And now that The Woman I Am was actually released in 2013, so 4 years ago now. And that was even before I started my business, The Wish Strategist. Yeah. And when I went back and looked at the lyrics in some of those songs, I'm thinking, my headspace was already in that space. So there's a line in one of the songs I'll be singing called Closer that says, don't let a single opportunity waste.
Wow.
I got shivers. So, I went back and I had a look. And then, of course, The Woman I Am is all about those things that we hold dear to ourselves as women and what makes us the women that we are. So I'll be singing those 2 songs and another one that I haven't really settled on yet, but something surprising, I think.
Something surprising. I like
Fantastic.
surprise.
I love Nia McMartin. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Veronica White, thank you for sharing your story. We'll be
Thank you
looking
so
forward
much.
to reading it. And Sam Jansen, as always, you are incredible, and we thank you so, so much for coming in again this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. I will see you on the radio again when we talk about your book, Powerful Conversations.
I'm so excited. Now, it is December. I'm going to do this. I don't care what anyone says anymore. It is time for some Christmas music. 25 minutes to 8 o'clock. It is Breakfast with Cindy. Look out for the book I Said Yes. I'll put a copy of it up on my breakfast page. It is KC Radio 97.7 FM.